My next patron question is from Billy, who would like to know which cancelled movies I would like to see get made. There are quite a lot of movies I've read about that I think could have been really great if they managed to get off the drawing board. One of the biggest projects I've long had a fascination with is Night Skies. This was a horror movie that was originally developed by Steven Spielberg, with John Sayles writing the screenplay and Tobe Hooper attached to direct. It was inspired by the Kelly Hopkinsville encounter, an event where a family on a farm thought they were being attacked by aliens. Under Hooper's direction, this could have been something special. Rick Baker even created the alien designs. However, as the script was being written, Spielberg and Melissa Mathison became fascinated with the one nice alien in Sayles' script, and it then evolved into E.T. the Extraterrestrial. Some ideas also made their way into Poltergeist and Gremlins. I do remember when the teaser for Super 8 was released, I thought this might be Night Skies. However, that turned out to be a different movie entirely. Not that I minded, as I liked Super 8 a lot. I would still love to see Night Skies get made, as I think it has a lot of promise. Of course, Disney Animation has several unmade films in their history, and one I often hope the people there consider giving another go is Frady Cat. This was a movie that Pete Kroon and then later Ron Clements and John Musker were working on in the 2000s, which was meant to be an homage to Alfred Hitchcock. It was about a pampered cat who, in classic Hitchcock fashion, ends up on the run because of a crime he did not commit. It could have been a really fun movie, but the people running Disney Animation at the time decided not to move forward with it because they felt children would not understand the Hitchcock references, even though the film is specifically designed to still be enjoyable even without being aware of the homages. Clements is back at Disney, so maybe he could try pitching it again, and it could become the next Zootopia. Over at a different animation studio, Genndy Tartakovsky has developed a number of movies for Sony. Popeye is probably the most well-known, but I also think Can You Imagine has a lot of potential. It was going to involve a trip through a boy's imagination, and the concept art that's been released highlights the incredible possibilities of this idea, especially with someone like Tartakovsky in charge. A movie I was recently disappointed did not happen was a film adaptation of the musical Spamalot. Eric Idle was really keen on making it, and Casey Nicholaw, the Tony Award-winning director of The Book of Mormon, signed on to direct the film. There were even discussions with Benedict Cumberbatch to play King Arthur. 20th Century Fox was originally going to release the movie, although those plans were put on pause following the Disney merger. Disney, for whatever reason, decided not to move forward with Spamalot, and in 2021, Paramount picked up the project. Idle already had a script ready to go, and Paramount was all prepared to start casting and building sets. However, according to Idle, the rest of the Monty Python team, who have final say in anything related to the brand, chose not to give their approval to the Spamalot movie, because they hate money, I guess? I love the musical, and I was very excited when this film adaptation was announced, and I'm sad it's not happening anytime soon. Another promising film affected by the Disney-Fox merger was Mouse Guard. This was an animated movie that Wes Ball was going to direct, and was an epic medieval adventure involving sword-wielding mice. Production was about to happen when Disney acquired 20th Century Fox, looked over which projects were in development at the studio, and decided not to make this one. Ball tried to shop it around and even posted some incredible test footage of the film, but no studio was interested, sealing its fate. I brought this movie up recently when talking about Brad Bird's Ray Gun, but a project I've long been fascinated with is 1906. This was a film he was planning about the San Francisco earthquake of 1906. It was going to be a co-production between Disney and Warner Brothers, and even Pixar was going to help produce it, thus becoming that first live-action production. He was originally going to make the film after The Incredibles, then was pulled into Ratatouille. After that was released, he returned to 1906 until he was hired to direct Mission Impossible: Ghost Protocol. He has often mentioned his desire to make the film, but has not gotten any closer to being made. Many of the films I've mentioned did not happen because of filmmakers shifting their attention elsewhere or not getting the official green light. But what about a movie that was cancelled because the studio was actually afraid of the possible consequences? Gore Verbinski was going to direct a film adaptation of Guy Delisle's graphic novel Pyongyang. Centered on his experiences as an animation supervisor in North Korea, Steve Carell was going to play the lead role, and it was going to be produced by New Regency, with 20th Century Fox handling distribution. However, after what happened to Sony Pictures with the Seth Rogen comedy The Interview, Hollywood decided North Korea would be completely off limits, and Fox wanted no involvement with the film. Regency could not find any other interested distributor, and it was officially cancelled. While I understand their fears, I still think it's a shame that movie never got made. Are there any sequels I would like to see? Well, I have an immense fondness for John Carter, and I was very eager to see where Andrew Stanton would take the series next. Of course, that sequel is never going to happen in a million years after that movie became a monumental flop. But I still sometimes wonder about the alternate universe, where it was a big hit, and Disney produced a trilogy of John Carter films. Then there's the strange case of The Adventures of Tintin. With each passing year, I grow less and less positive about the second movie actually reaching screens, despite assurances from Steven Spielberg, Peter Jackson, and Andy Serkis that it's still in the works. But I hope I end up wrong, and we see that Belgian reporter on the big screen again. The last cancelled film I want to mention is an unmade script written by John Hughes. I mentioned this in a video I did on him, but Howard Deutsch was going to direct a script by Hughes that he considered one of his best. Titled Oil and Vinegar, it was going to be a dialogue-driven film similar to The Breakfast Club, and it was about a car ride between a man preparing to be married and a hitchhiker he picks up. They were going to be played by Matthew Broderick and Molly Ringwald. It never happened, but I would love to see someone give it a try. So those are some cancelled films I've long been interested in seeing, but let me know in comments some of yours, and thank you for the question, Billy.